The news world lost one of its icons as PBS News anchor Gwen Ifill passed away after her battle with cancer. Ifill was an award-winning journalist. She had an historic career with stints at the New York Times and the Washington Post before becoming co-anchor and managing editor of PBS NewsHour. Ifill became one of the first African-American journalists to host a national politics show when she took over Washington Week in Review in 1999. We spoke to a friend and former colleague at the Washington Post about what made Ifill special.
She studied whatever the issue was and made sure that she knew what was going on from a public policy standpoint, from a political standpoint. Just a really good student of the craft, a good student of interviewing and listening to people. And I think that's what set her apart. That's one thing. But she also came across as being a very competent journalist, but also a warm journalist.
Just a few weeks ago, Gwen Ifill was a part of the celebration of the life of Walter Cronkite at the Newseum in Washington, D.C. We wanted to share with you some of Ifill's thoughts on the future of the journalism industry she held so dear.
Oh, imagine my shock and surprise and pleasure with the first time I met Walter Cronkite, to have him actually with acknowledge that he watched me on the news every night, and which of course scared the hell out of me, because all of a sudden you realized it was a standard that you were trying to meet. But here's the thing. So many of us in our business are attempting to achieve that level of trust. And what we know to be true about our business right now, television and newspapers and radio and blogs and all the things we are, is that we're not there anymore. That nobody looks at any one of us and says, you, whatever that comes out of your mouth, that I trust. But the best of us are striving for that every single night. And we're striving for it with Walter Cronkite's face in our heads, with the idea, not that we're ever going to be at the place where if we say it, you believe it instantly, but the fact that if we say it, it's because it's backed up, because it's reported. It's not just my opinion. It's not just my bright, clever witticism. The salvation for the news business, I've had the beauty of being on this stage many times to talk about different news moments in our history. And the salvation for the news business is that we try to be more like that and not less like that. There's, as you know, an entire swath of the news business which doesn't understand what that means, which doesn't understand that telling a story and who tells the story and what voices you hear and the kinds of voices you hear is as important as what comes out of the anchor's mouth or comes out of the reporter's mouth. And my goal, I'm involved with a group called the News Literacy Project, which is going into high schools and trying to train young people on what to hear, what to believe. And I think that that's our goal for the next generation, not only of journalists, but also of news consumers. We're getting their information from so many places. And I think Walter would be proud of that approach to how we cover the news.
We'll continue to cover the death of Gwen Ifill and her impact on public affairs reporting tonight on Arizona Horizon. We'll be right back.